Hey, Raphael. Thanks for joining me today.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad
Thank
you're
you.
here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the invite.
Gladly, gladly. I remember your story in a staff meeting because we happened to work together, and was just blown away at how God has shown up in your life and took you from some stuff and situations that may have been on the surface looked impossible.
Yeah.
But how God moved and brought you to a different place. So tell me a little bit about you, where you're from, and a little bit about your backstory before we get to the big part of your story.
Okay. Let me see. So I'm from here, Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know if you're familiar with the Fay Apartments, but that's where I grew up at. I don't know how it is now, and I don't know how it is before I stayed there, but when I grew up there, it was a rough neighborhood in the city. I stayed there with my mother. My mother was a young mother. My father was a young father. They never were married, but I lived there with a man and my mother, which I called my father, which was my little brother's father, but I knew him before my little brother knew him. You get it? So yeah. So I grew up in the Fay Apartments. To me, it was a fun childhood. You know, it was a fun childhood. It was. My mother did the best she could. I can remember her always working like 2 jobs to provide for me and my brother, to put food on the table, clothes on our back. I went to a school called Cheviot. I remember, about to 12 years old, I moved to Avondale. You're probably familiar with Avondale.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of things start happening in life, as far as getting into a lot of trouble and things like that. So I had a pretty fun childhood as far as I can remember. You know, it wasn't really too tragic, but I think a lot of things start happening when I got a little older.
So when did things start turning for you, where you started getting into more trouble and things started?
It's crazy because I really never had it's like I waited till I got grown or something. I remember when I went to Western Hills High School, and I remember going to a Walmart next to it and stealing from there. That was like the first time I got in trouble, maybe. And that was juvenile. They took us to jail to like the 2020 in Mount Auburn, I believe.
So they caught you as you were
they caught me trying to steal something. I left school and tried to steal a CD player or something, a Walkman, and they caught me. And I still wasn't getting in trouble after that. But that was the first time before I got grown, like as a juvenile, where I got in trouble trying to steal something, But living in Avondale, just becoming a product of that environment, out there selling drugs, that's when I, at a young age, selling drugs and drinking real young, while I was a little, during the time I was in high school. That's when things kind of start turning for me.
How did the drug dealing start? So you started selling, you're saying you were selling drugs in high school. So how did that start?
I would really say it started because I became a follower for real. It was around me. You know, most people say they become a product of their environment, but a product of your environment really just is another word, a cute word for saying I became a follower for real. I became a follower of what was going on around me. You know what I mean? I guess a product of someone's environment is good if they're succeeding the right way.
Yeah.
But I was doing it from the bad influences were around me, the older guys around me, my peers. You know, they were all selling drugs. We were in Avondale, which is a high drug community, high violence community. So I was out there selling drugs and partying. Did a lot of partying, sleeping with women, a lot of different women, womanizing, drinking, living a life of sin for real.
You were getting into some spots you shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest attraction for the dealing at the time that you started it? Was it about the money? Was it about just pure like relationships with other people who were doing it, or what was the draw?
It was money first, and you know, because the money looked glamorous when you see people getting what they want with it, and it don't take really too much work to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So money, the love of it, which is the root of all evil. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So the attraction to getting money, and when you're young, you just want to look good. So it's all about dressing fly and having the shoes, and then it become cars, you know what I mean, attracting women. So yeah, it just grows. The lust grows, really.
So it was all the stuff. It was all the trappings.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like
it was stuff. But in the midst of all that, I had a relationship with my father. And my father came around at a young age, even though I didn't live with him. And he was saved. My father was already, like, he's a Christian. My mother wasn't. And in the midst of all that, even though I didn't live with my father, I might have went over there on the weekends or during summer breaks from school. And I remember him coming to Avondale where we stayed. And he called me downstairs, and I went down there and got in the car with him. And he said, I'm not giving up on you till you receive Christ, till Christ get in your life. And I didn't understand that. I probably was like 15, 16 years old at that time. But around that time is where he started really building a relationship with me. Maybe a couple years before that, he started coming to get me and imparting Christ in me. Even though when I was choosing those other things that I was just telling you about, it was a seed in me. He had a seed in me that he was continuing to water, though I was choosing those glamorous things, the money. And
the other stuff.
Yeah.
So was he a believer all of your life, or did he come to Christ like?
Now, that's one thing so I don't think he was a believer all my life, no, but I think he came to Christ, and it was an awakening or a light bulb in him that says, I need to get my son, you know what I mean? I need to bring this to my son, to my whole family. So
it made him...
And convicted him.
Yeah, it probably made him more desperate for you to get out of the stuff that you were in to finding more truth. But for you, right, at that point, it was just little inklings of following Jesus or following
teaching
God.
Books of the Bible and things like that. He was imparting different things at a young age to me, trying to figure out how can he reach me at a young age for me to understand it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, when was like the first time that serious trouble came your way? Because you said you stole a Walkman and you got in trouble, and it sounds like it wasn't.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't that serious.
A lot of time.
I was scared.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because I stayed in there. I stayed in 2020. They call it 2020 here, and the name for the streets is the 40. This is where it's the juvenile system. It's in Mount Auburn. I stayed there I was there for a few hours. I don't know if my mama was making me suffer.
She probably
was making me suffer. I need to ask her that.
I want to keep him down there for a while.
She probably was making me suffer for a minute because I stayed there. My buddy that I got caught with, he was gone quick. So my mom's might have made me suffer because I was in there for a while. And that was the first time, just being in a certain type of captivity for real, I can't go nowhere. I'm in this bondage.
Trapped.
So, I was trapped. I couldn't do anything. But the first time where I started to think about my life and getting in trouble, and where I kind of had a light bulb flash in front of me was when I almost lost my life. Getting robbed and shot in 2004.
Whew.
Yeah, well, before that I had caught a gun charge. It was after that things started spiraling down, where I caught a gun charge. Don't even know why. It was once upon a time where we used to just have guns on us, like wearing a pair of shoes. Even though we weren't having beef with people or nothing, we just had guns on us.
A status symbol.
Yeah, we just had guns on us while we were out there on the block. And I remember going to a buddy of mine college party, and he had they had an icebreaker up there. We went up there and we had guns on us. We done went all the way up there with guns on us. Not even looking for trouble, but got pulled over and went to jail right there. And that was like 2003. Went to jail up there, having to wait for our family members to come all the way from Cincinnati to like an hour and a half ride to bond us out. So that was like when I started getting in trouble as an adult, having to get bond out of jail, and having a case where I have to keep coming back and forth to go to court. And after that, I was on probation. Then I got shot and robbed.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what happened with that? What were you doing and
being shot?
Yeah. That whole thing, because that sounds hefty.
So that first time when I got shot in 2004, I was going to a strip club. So when I pulled up at the all my buddies were there waiting on me, and when I pulled up at that place, I looked to my left and I seen two guys that I know were like what we call them robbery boys, like. And I know them from a different block in Avondale, and I knew what they were on. But I got out the car anyway, you know what I mean, where I could have just pulled off and left. I even had a gun in the car with me. But I could have pulled off and left, got out. I had liquor in me, so I probably wasn't in my right mind thinking.
You weren't thinking, I shouldn't get out of the car at this point.
Yeah, like when you under the influence, you got to think what you under the influence of. Like, and it's most likely another spirit in you, you know what I mean? When you become under the influence of alcohol and drugs, those things kind of take you out of your right mind and make you think you Superman or something. So I got out the car, and then moments later, the guy behind me, as I'm walking to the place, I heard the door open, but I kept walking, and he behind me, and he said, "You know what it is?" So basically saying, give me your money. Yeah. So, and I told him I didn't have anything for him. As I was turning around, and he probably thinking I'm about to swing and punch him. I don't even know why I was turning around. I should have just gave him my money. I had like $1,000 in my pocket. Whew. And as I was turning around, he shot me right here in the chest, right like on the side where the heart is. He shot me. I dropped, not even really realizing where I was. I didn't know where I was hit. I really didn't feel the bullet. I don't know why I didn't feel it, but it hit me in the chest, right here on the left side of my chest, right there.
Wow. And I dropped, and my elbows were in the ground. And I'm looking at my feet, like thinking to myself, why can't I move? I'm trying to get up, and he's standing over me. I don't know if he's about to shoot me again. And he said, where it's at now? And then that's when I said, it's in my left pocket. And then he went in my pocket and got it. Wow.
And so as he was leaving, I'm still trying to get up, but back then we had those flip phones, and it had that if you push talk twice, it would call the last person you was on the phone with. So I pushed talk twice, and it called the last person I was on the phone with, which was one of my buddies in there. And what he's thinking is, Ralph is trying to get in a place. So they come to the door, and everybody panicking because they heard shots. So they run out. And as my phone is calling him, and the guy see me with my phone, he run back, grab the phone, and throw it in the woods. Yeah, he threw it in the woods. So my buddies and them come out, and they see me in a grass shot, throw me in a car, and drive me to University Hospital, which is just right there. Because this all happened in Avondale too. So the hospital was right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're lucky you didn't bleed out. I mean.
Yeah, I could have. I still hear stories today, like the other part that I didn't see or know of that night, and it's like, because my cousin was just telling me about it, and he was like, "Man, do you understand? Like you was in the woods in the dark, where nobody knew where you were, kind of, because the place was a big parking lot, but it was just trees, so it was real dark. You really couldn't see anything." Wow. And if I wouldn't have pushed talk twice, like if I wouldn't have been thinking or something and pushed talk twice on that phone, nobody probably would have knew I was just out there, so I could have probably bled out.
Yeah.
Just so happened I pushed talk twice, and they called my buddy, and they came, and they were waiting on me all ready to arrive. They came out there and threw me in there. I could have just been laying out there and died. Yeah.
So how much damage did it do to you, and
Yeah.
how long were you in the hospital? And
So that I probably was in the hospital like 2 months because I had to about a month. I had to learn how to walk again because a bullet laid down on my spine.
Oof.
So it almost paralyzed me. So the doctors told me that I should have been dead, and they said, you ain't dead, but you should be paralyzed at least. And it wasn't that either. So, but God. Yeah, but God for real, because they really couldn't understand it, and I did with that little seed that my dad put in me.
Yeah.
Back in those younger days, and I remember being on that ground, and I said, Lord, please don't let Satan take my soul. Even though I wasn't walking in a righteous way, I still believed in hell and heaven, God and Satan, good and evil, and I know that I wasn't walking a good path. And I just was asking God that if he would have a little mercy on me, I would try to do better with my life, though I didn't. You know what I mean? I didn't try, because from there I kept doing the same things or even worse, living an unrighteous life.
Did they catch the guy that had shot you, or
with the streets call it keeping it street. So I never even told them. I never told a cop or anything
who it was, even
I
though...
tried to kill him myself, to be honest with you.
So what?
I seen him, I followed him, and I shot at him myself, and he never got hit or anything. The guy ended up going to prison for killing like a few people. That's his way he did. That's his ammo. So he's in prison now, but he killed a few people and they caught up with him. You know.
And I mean, thank goodness you did not kill him.
Yeah, I think about that because I don't know how I would live with it. You know what I mean? And this happened twice. Yeah. This type of situation happened twice in my life where I retaliated to a guy that tried to rob me, and I did shoot him, but he didn't die. You know what I mean? And I thank God for that, because I'm like, I don't know how I would live with that, living that life and have to watch over my back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know.
What was your mindset during those days? Like, were you just, you know, kill or be killed, eat or be eaten, kind of?
Yeah, it wasn't even that. Like, I don't think nobody I ain't want to die for my money, my drugs, but I knew that I was putting myself in that way, in that situation. So I understood that comes with that lifestyle.
You knew the risk. It was like a risk.
Yeah, I knew the risk, but I didn't want to die for that. I knew that wasn't a life. When you go home and you lay down at night and all those thoughts race through your head, this ain't what God wants for me. This isn't it. But I remember even praying every day before I leave out the house. You know what I mean? Talking to God, having a real conversation with him, saying, I know this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing, because you still watch over me. You know what I mean? And just protect me as I'm out there.
Was it one of those things where you just didn't know how to stop or change your life? I mean, you felt like God was obviously pursuing you, or you were aware of him, maybe is a better way to put it.
I was aware of him and running away from him.
Running away.
I was running away, because throughout those years, I remember my dad used to call me sometimes while I'll be out there on the block, and I was screaming. And the reason was I didn't want to hear that Jesus stuff right now. Like, let me get home first. Then I could sit down and listen to you. You know what I mean? It was times where he had unctions, like something ain't right. And then I got shot later on that night. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So it was situations where I probably should have heard him.
Yeah.
But God just kept on keeping me. It was the prayers, for real, of the righteous.
Yeah.
That even though I was unrighteous and making my bed in hell, God was still there.
Yeah.
He seen past what I could even see. He seen down the street and around the corner, you know what I mean? And I couldn't see that far, and he had a plan for me. So
He was hanging with you till you were ready.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wasted time, because when you just go ahead and just surrender, you can already start your path. It was a lot of wasted time. And it was like, I've been in and out of prison, but every time I would go to prison, that seed that my dad planted, that's when I would get it watered, because I would go in there, I would bury my face in scripture, I would become one of the church men. I would go to all the services in prison, the Bible study, the church service, anything going on with church, I was in there in prison. As soon as I come home, I would always tell myself I'm going to sit down for a month. And then because I really didn't want to, in prison, a lot of guys in prison will be like, when I get home, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do it this way this time. I would never have that mind frame, because I didn't want to be out there. But it was like I just was, all my relatives, my close friends, my surroundings, my company that I kept were in it. Until the last time that I went to prison, I sat in there and I said, I got to change my company. I really got that. Make birds with feather flock together is like a true statement. And I had to change my surroundings in order for the change that was going on in me to really come to fruition. Or it wouldn't have if I wouldn't have changed my surroundings.
What was that kind of woke you up to that point, to that realization? Because you said, like, you'd been in prison multiple times, and then for whatever reason this last time you were like, this is different. So what kind of drove that? I mean, just being tired,
I was tired.
Hopeless?
Hopeless. I was tired. Yeah, you have to get tired of your situation before you change anyway. You know what I mean? You got to get tired of whatever situation you're in. And I was tired. I had before I got locked up because I got 5 numbers. So which means I got 5 penitentiary. I've been in prison 5 times in the penitentiary.
5 convictions.
Yeah.
What all were you?
Yeah, so all the way stemming from 2004 all the way to 2013. So throughout those years, I might have did like about 7 to 8 years throughout those years.
Do you mind me asking what all they were for? Or
so just drug offenses, trafficking drugs, gun charges. That's it. I never had a violent charge. A lot of my buddies like that I run into now that were in the streets with me will say, man, that's you. That was you anyway. Talking about how I'm walking now. Yeah. The right way like that, because they said you was a good dude already. Though Christ would say not one is good. Right. So to them, when you compare it to somebody being in the streets, to them I was good. Because like I still had a heart for people. Yeah. You know what I mean? I still gave people the benefit of the doubt of situations. Yeah. In the game that you shouldn't really do that. You know what I mean? In the game that people could use that as a weakness and run you over with. You know what I mean? So that type of when they seen already something in me a little bit that I probably didn't even see. Something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, they were seeing it even when we were in the streets. They seen that. And it's for the same thing as for me, it's for them too, is what I tell them when I see them. That's for you too. Right. It's for you. It ain't just for me.
So again, going back to what was the
turning point.
The turning point for you, because like it sounds like it was your last time in prison. You're tired. You're thinking there's got to be, I'm guessing, something more. Yeah. Like what was it? A surrender to Christ? Was it like? Talk about that a little bit more. So it was. I was tired. Like I said, I was really tired of the life I was just living, going in and out of jail. It was just coming home, starting over again. Yeah. Getting back on my feet. Out there, and though I was out there making the type of money that I could do whatever I wanted, I'll just leave town when I want to, buy this and that. But it was something bigger, and I knew it was something more, and it was that void, and I was trying to fill it. I had an identity crisis. I was trying to fill it with something that wouldn't fit.
Like I tell a lot of people, it's those things that kids play with, where they put the triangle inside the triangle, the circle inside the circle, the square inside the square.
Yeah.
But when you try to put that circle inside the square, it don't fit.
Right.
And you get anxiety, and you really trying to force it in there. You trying to put the triangle inside the circle, it just won't fit. And it's like I was trying to feel those things, but like I say, when you lay down at night, it's like it's something more to it. And it was really God pulling me. I was getting tired, and I always used to tell people I felt like I'm playing with God, because I go to prison and get in church, come back home and hustle. And I remember somebody telling me, like, God was building your testimony, and he was building your testimony, and he was drawing you closer to him throughout those years until that last time. I got tired. I was on my way to prison. I knew I had to go do 3 years. And I had just got shot again. My second time, just got shot in the stomach. Had a colostomy bag on for 6 months.
Wow.
And I was tired. It was a lot of times I was just sitting down, crying to myself, like this ain't what God got for me. When I got shot that time, I remember laying on the ground, praying again, Lord, please don't let Satan take my soul. I felt so stupid when that came out my mouth on the ground shot, because I just asked him in 2004. Here it is, 2012, and it just came out my mouth. But that night came in my thoughts from 2004, and I'm like, man, I can't keep doing this to you. Like, it's a reason that you're keeping me here. I'm on the ground bleeding out, and I know I'm bleeding. Didn't feel the shot again. It was like everything just happened again. What's that, 7 or 8 years ago, and it happened again right here in another robbery, where I'm on the ground dying. And so I have a case at this same time, another case, a drug case, and fast forward, I got the colostomy bag on me for like 6 months.
Wow, that had to have been hard.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. I'm still out there going in clubs, partying, sleeping with women. Like, it's crazy. But it had to been, it was a rough life, but it was at the same time, like, I almost didn't care still. Like, this part of it. I know other dudes with bags on too. It was crazy, like this part of it. It's like I be just that life is it's an addiction too. You know what I mean? That's like an addiction too. So at this time, I'm fighting a court case, and the judge, my lawyer, gets away from me to stay out until I have to get the surgery to get the bag off, because I should have already have been in prison at this time, because I was fighting a drug case. But my lawyer get the judge to keep me out until I get that surgery done. Instead of going in prison with that bag on, I could have got all type of infections and everything. So the judge had mercy on me. And during this time that I'm out, I'm still in the streets, and I know I'm about to go in to do this 3 years, but I'm praying. I'm kind of I'm going to church, but still hustling, like pulling up in church with dope in the car. So as soon as I get out of church, I'm going to, they call it, hit my licks. So it was crazy. Like, it was rebellious, but at this same time, I'm praying and trying to get close to God. And so I told God, just put me in a place where I can hear you. That's what I told him. And and
you sincerely meant that.
I sincerely meant it. Yeah, I sincerely meant that. Put me in a place where I can hear you.
Yeah.
So at that time, I guess from that prayer, it started changing. So when I go to prison and I go to the Justice Center, the Justice Center sends people to what is called CRC. CRC send people to their they call it the parent institution, which is the prison, wherever. So CRC classes me to Madison, and I kind of was upset when I got the Madison correction. I was kind of upset when I got classed to Madison because I already been there. Like in 2008, I was locked up in Madison already, and the reason why I was upset, because I knew everybody there. I know I would know everybody there. Like, that's a place that all the people from Cincinnati go almost. So I'm like, and I'm thinking about my walk with God, and I'm feeling like I'm gonna be distracted. So I say, all right, God, this it? This where I'm going? So I remember you sit in CRC for a while before you go to your prison, like maybe from like 2 weeks to sometimes 2 months before they come get you, before it's enough people on that bus ride to go. So on that morning, I remember them banging on the door, boom, boom, boom. Lucas! They call you by your last name. So I get up, you riding out, you going to Mansfield. And I'm thinking, Mansfield, they getting their M's mixed up, because I'm classed in Madison. And on that bus ride, I'm thinking like, why am I going to Mansfield? And it clicked. God heard me. Put me in a place where I could hear you. I ain't even never heard of Mansfield. Come to find out, people from Cincinnati don't even ride up to this prison. When I get to Mansfield, I kept hearing people call my name, like, and it was really me tripping, because I knew no one on there.
On the bus ride? So
when I got to prison.
Oh, when you got to prison, okay.
Yeah, when I got there, I kept hearing people call my name, and nobody was calling me. I was tripping or something. I don't know what it was. Like, I knew nobody there, and that was the turning point. Like, that was the place where I could hear God. That was the place where I buried my face in the scripture for those 3 years, and I didn't come up for air. He talked to me in dreams. He talked to me while I was woke, and he showed me the place that I came from. And every time I would dream about it, it would be gray and clay, like it was just all death there, and not to go back. Like, it would just be a gray clay type of look. Like Avondale, at the people and everything was just gray and clay-doh type of thing. And
sounds like he made it unattractive in your mind.
I didn't even think about that. That's what it seemed like. It was an unattractive place, and it was like, and I heard him say, you can't go back out there. I saved you a lot of times. You'll die. I heard him say it laying down on my bed one day, just crying, and I heard him say it, like, I saved you. I got mercy on you, but this is it. This is it.
Wow.
And that was like the turning point. And there I met a lot of brothers in Christ.
Yeah.
He gave me a whole new family, like brothers that I'm connected to and talk to every day. Like, here now, even just coming up to our conversation, like, that don't even live in Cincinnati. Like, that we cried together there. We ate together. We did everything there. True brothers in Christ.
Yeah, built a family for sure.
Yeah, he gave me a family. He gave them to me. Yeah.
So how has, like, really surrendering to God in that moment and hearing him say, I've saved you from death. This is it. How has he transformed you? Like, what was the process like? Was it like slowly he opened your eyes to all of the things he really had for you? And like, was there a moment where you thought, wow, I am really different. Like, God has really changed me.
Yeah. So it was a slow process. Like, and I probably still can't even imagine or understand some of the things that he's doing in my life or what he got for me. But it was a slow process where he was changing me, changing my heart on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Stripping me of a lot of things, my mindset. And while I was doing that 3 years, that's when I realized my heart has really been changed, and I can't go back to what I used to be. Like, I come to realize that he had chosen me, and I didn't even know. It was like I was chosen, and I even knew that I was, which is a bad state to be in.
It really speaks to the wonder of God that it says that he chooses us before the foundations of the earth were laid, and like before one of our days have come to pass, every one of them are in his book. So like,
that's amazing.
It's mind blowing that we serve such a cool God that I mean, he's awesome.
Yeah, every time I think about his mercy, I get chills. I be ready to cry because he had so much mercy on me and I didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? Just being shot in places where people should have died at.
Yeah.
And then hearing about people that get shot in places that you don't usually die at and they die. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why you saved me? Why you have so much mercy on me? And it allows me to, him showing mercy to me helps me to show mercy to others and have more compassion for others because he did so much for me in those areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has tremendously blessed me, like coming out of there, giving me a wife and a family, a job, a business.
Yeah.
It's just totally, he blessed me in ways. The scripture says that he redeemed our times, and that's what he did. He really redeemed my time. Things that were taken away, things that I gave up, things that were lost, he restored it in a hopeless situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gave me hope.
Yeah.
He is our hope.
He is,
he
absolutely.
Is our hope. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you could speak to someone right now who maybe is in a similar situation, they're living a life that maybe they do feel like this is all there is, it can't be different for me, or they're stuck in whatever it is, what would you begin to say to them? If you could just sit down and have a conversation with them, how would you begin to talk to them about how God worked in your life and brought you out? I mean, carried you through 3 years of prison, fifth time in, shot twice, all of the stuff. So,
a lot of times I have these conversations with people, and some of them have told me that they feel like it's over for them, out their mouth, like it's over for me. I don't think that God even loved me that much, or that he even cared for me that much. And they know me, and they'll tell me, like, I've seen what he did for you, but my situation is different. And that's a hard place to be in, because even when I was there, I didn't really feel that way. You know what I mean? I didn't verbalize it. I just understood not to verbalize certain things. And I would tell a person like that, or somebody that thinks that way, is to change their mind, change what they're thinking, because that's where everything starts at. But more than telling them, we have to pull them alongside and show them, because that's what helped me when I was in prison, that last number. It was a guy who I still call just to encourage him, because he encouraged me and a lot of other brothers there named Paris that was locked up at Mansfield. And he went home, but he would come back to give a preach word, encouraging word, and let us know everything that God is doing for him. And for me to see that, it was a way that God made himself tangible in my life. And I seen it, and I was like, oh, this could be done. And then just seeing somebody else that really cared for him and had a compassion for that situation, or that been there, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
to share your experience with somebody, I believe, is a big help.
Yeah, that goes back to something that that you had said at some part in this conversation of you felt like you had wasted days. And at first I was like, yeah, I was agreeing with that, but I want to kind of retract or go back to that and say, at least from my experience, I've realized that God doesn't waste anything in our lives. Like any experience we have, any seemingly like minor thing, God has always used my experiences, my tragedies, whatever it is, in some way later on. That could even be, for me anyway, connecting with someone on a shared experience, even if it's a tragic experience. And I just think that's an amazing thing. So same for you, like if you're sharing your experiences and where you've been talking to a homeless person or, just a brother who's, searching.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like your tangible proof that you're experiencing.
You the proof. You the evidence.
Right.
I'm the evidence that he is real.
Right.
And that he is who he says he is.
And that
we the proof.
And that things can be different. God can transform what seems like a situation that cannot change.
Right.
No matter how you look at it. Like, you could have at one point or time, even in that fifth state, you could have just said, oh,
yeah.
Like, oh, well, here it is. I'll do this time and then,
do it again.
Do it again, right. But because you were feeling the call of God and you basically you said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I said yes.
Yeah.
Surrendered.
And that how God honored that and like your life changed and like you're a totally transformed person and you're being transformed and God is renewing all those things and it's awesome to see what God does.
Yeah, he blew my mind. And sometimes you still get in that place of fear, like you know what I mean? But then you gotta go back and think about your own testimony, like look what he did. It's things that I know that God did in my life where I know it wasn't a man that did it. Nobody else could have did it. And only he knew about it, and he changed it. Nobody else knew about it.
Yeah.
I even tell people, like, as far as being born. Like, I know I was born on accident by my mother and father. But since I'm here, I know that I was really here on a purpose, with a purpose. I was sent here with a purpose. God.
Were ordained to be here.
Ordained to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even if your parents didn't plan you. I planned my son with my wife. But even though the parents didn't plan you, you were ordained to be here. Yeah. You still got a purpose.
You were planned by
here
God.
On purpose, with a purpose.
Right.
Yep.
That's right. Nobody
here is by accident. Yeah. Anybody that's here got a purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's up to us to choose if we want to walk towards it or run from it.
Yeah. Your life only is better when you do it with God.
When you conform to God and surrender.
Yeah.
It only get better. I'm so free. I tell people today that I found my freedom when I was there in prison. And it don't make sense because I was locked up.
What?
Yeah, they look. But that's where I got set free at in that time.
But I think that was it was a turning of your heart. Like you can have that happen anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it could have happened anywhere.
Yeah, but you turned and
I always look at myself as Jonah, where God used that well to get me in. I look at it like that. And that was my well, that prison system. I believe that. Because some people say that experience, we always have to experience things. And I don't believe we do. I believe that when we listen to somebody telling us something right or trying to help us, go off that. I believe that's true wisdom, to take somebody else's experience or advice and go from there to help or better yourself. You know what I mean? Like, instead of so we don't have to run into that railroad, that train. You know what I mean? So that's what I believe, that whoever this may go out to, that they probably could look at my story and other stories, whoever watching it, and then it can help them before they have to burn and crash, so they don't have to end up in certain situations that I've been in. Yeah. You know, because we don't know our last time. We don't know our last day. We don't know our last minute and hour when it's all gonna be over for us. Right. We just don't know. Yeah. And it could have been over for me a long time ago. I know a lot of people that didn't make it, like just being out there in the streets. Yeah. I know a lot of people, like, and they still dying right now. Like, and it's premature. They walked away from their mission. You know what I mean? So it's sad, and it's heartbreaking. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. The things that I did, the things that I put God through, my mother, my father. Yeah. All the people I hurt. Yeah.
But he's redeeming it.
Yeah.
And he's totally transformed you. Like, I didn't know you before. But just in talking about that I was going to interview you today, I was telling my husband, I'm like, you would look at him and you wouldn't even know, like to experience you, and like I work with you, so I see you interact with people. Like, yeah, God is just, he's done a work in you. And like I said, I don't know you before, but I could see God in you now, and I see how you care for people, and I see how your work ethic, I see all of that. And so I know that God has transformed you, and I think it's awesome. And it's just a testament to the caring Father that we do have. And people get so afraid of God and think that he's really something different than what he is, and that is he wants to change us. He wants to bring us out of the darkness into the light, and he wants to change our minds, change the way we think, and redeem situations. And the only thing that is really up to us is to say yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, well, I appreciate you sharing your story with me and everybody watching. And yeah, it's been good. So thank you.
It's been good. I thank you for receiving me.
Yeah, for sure.